Hey everyone, welcome to Cinema Safari. Today's episode is 20 years in the making as we talk about Devil Wears Prada 2. Devil Wears Prada 2 is a sequel to the 2006 film, The Devil Wears Prada, and we see Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci reprising their roles from the first film, along with Justin Theroux, Lucy Liu, and Kenneth Branagh joining the cast as new additions to the cast. So stick with us as we talk about The Devil Wears Prada 2. So, The Devil Wears Prada 2 is a comedy drama film sequel to the 2006 film The Devil Wears Prada, directed by David Frankel and written by Aline Brosh McKenna, who returned from the first film as director and writer, respectively. So, in the film, we see Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, Stanley Tucci return, reprising their roles from the first film. Meryl Streep as Miranda Presley, the editor-in-chief of the Runway fashion magazine that was introduced in the first film. Anne Hathaway as Andrea Andy Sachs, who is a journalist and Miranda's former second assistant. Emily Blunt as Emily Charlton, Miranda's former first assistant, who is now a senior executive at Dior. Stanley Tucci as Nigel Kipling, who is Miranda's longtime right hand. In addition to the returning cast, we see Justin Theroux, Kenneth Branagh, Lucy Liu, BJ Novak, Simone Ashley join the cast along with some others. So Justin Theroux is Benji Barnes, Emily's boyfriend. Kenneth Branagh, Stuart Simons, Miranda's new husband. Lucy Liu as Sasha Barnes, Benji's ex-wife. BJ Novak as Jay Ravitz, the finance bureau heir to the Elias Clark publishing house, along with some others as well, joining the cast for this film. So, The Devil Wears Prada 2, overall, very enjoyable film. A lot of the positive things that are associated with the film, I think, are for fans of the first film. If you enjoyed the first film, I think this film was kind of, tailor-made for you in a way, if that makes sense. So, yeah, fans of the first film will definitely enjoy this film. Overall, the Meryl Streep, right back into the role from the first film, amazing job. Anne Hathaway, amazing as always. Emily Blunt, Stanley Tucci came back strong. But overall, like story-wise, like you definitely felt a lot of nostalgia from the first film into this film, if you are familiar with the first film. So there's a lot going for that. The glitz and glamour from the first film into this film. This film, I feel like after watching the first film recently, it in some ways, in some areas, it kind of lacked that glamour that the first film did have, which made the first film so appealing, especially at that time that it was released 20 years ago. So I think that was kind of a little of a drawback for the second film. But overall, I think it was definitely entertaining. Definitely strong performances from the cast, who jumped right back into their roles 20 years later, which sometimes is pretty hard to do, but they do it very well, I think. And I was very pleased with all of their performances. And the new cast kind of just jumped in and really filled out the world of this whole cast nicely, expanding the world that was introduced in the first film. So overall, I think it was definitely a fun film to watch. Definitely a lot of strong points for the film. If you were a fan of the first film, you will definitely, I think, be pleased with this new film. Even if you aren't too familiar with the first film, like I was, like when I was younger, I kind of I always thought The Devil Wears Prada was actually a horror movie because, devil's in the name. It wasn't until like I got a little older and actually like found out what it was and was like, oh, okay. But at the same time, I'm not like a huge fashion guy, so I never actually like took the time to just sit down and watch it until recently, because of the release of the second one. So I want to, get familiar with it. Um, yeah, but I did enjoy it. I'm not like a huge fan of fashion. Don't really know too much about the fashion world. So like, I feel like these films are kind of made in a way more for people who are a little more familiar with like the fashion world. Um, but there are still films that you can enjoy even if you aren't too familiar. And they are films that I did enjoy, both of them. They were fun to watch and just a good time. I feel like these films are kind of just part of what they accomplish to an audience member is just having a fun time, enjoyable time watching at the movies. That's part of it. It does more than they do. Definitely do more than that, but I feel like that was part of it, especially for me. So in that sense, it definitely succeeded as at I think what it was made to do for me specifically. So I definitely would recommend it. So with that, we are going to wrap up today's episode. So Devil Wears Prada 2, 20 years in the making. Definitely a fun film to watch. Definitely a lot of nostalgia from the first film, especially if you're familiar with the first film. You will definitely feel that in watching this film. So a lot of that's there. It was a fun film, looked good, enjoyable to watch. Had a lot of laughs with it, a lot of a fun time watching it, and yeah, it was just a fun experience at the movies to watch. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on the film, and if you compare it with the first film, what you thought about it. If you enjoyed it more than the first film, if not, if it met your expectations after waiting 20 years, and all that. So if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel, follow us on social media, and as always, thank you for your support and watching today's episode, and we will see you next time.